Today we're going to get started learning to paint, and so we're going to start with the very basics. So I will walk you through this exactly the way you're going to do it. Do it with me. It'll make this go much quicker. So the first thing I'm of course going to do is go to Google Classroom. You should have your Google Classroom right up here on your menu bar. My Google Classroom is in a folder, so there's my Google Classroom. I will go to your class. I will go to classwork. I will go to today, which is Wednesday, and I will choose digital painting practice. You see your assignment here, okay? And there's a variety of things here that I need to download. And we already know that my download menu folder is a mess, and one of my goals is to clean it, so please ignore the fact that my download menu is a mess. But we do need to download all of these items, so we will start with these three. These three are brushes. So what's really cool about using Photoshop is that you can paint. We're going to be painting in Photoshop, but there are so many free brushes out there that you can use. And so you can go to the internet, you can punch in free Photoshop brushes, and you will find a multitude of brushes that you can use in addition to what Photoshop already offers you. We've used only the basic brush so far when we were colorizing our ballerina and doing some other things, so we never really got into brushes, but there are a lot of brushes to choose from. So here I have clouds, landscape, and free water. We're not necessarily going to be using all of these today, but I do want to show you how you're going to add them to Photoshop, because right now these brushes are not on your program. So I'll start with clouds. And I simply want to download it. So there I go. That brush set is now downloaded. I will go back. I will now hit the landscape brushes. Once again, I will download, excuse me, and now I have the clouds. Again, I will go back to the original lesson. I will pick up the free water. These will be used in the future, not necessarily today, but I do want you to know how to add these to your program. And this one's taking a little longer, but there I have the three new brush sets. My favorite is the landscape because I can create grass and all kinds of cool things, and you will be creating a landscape painting using Photoshop ultimately. Okay, so I've gotten all my brushes. Now I simply need to get my practice sheet. We are going to be just doing some really basic practicing today. And this is our practice sheet. We're going to learn how to use the eyedropper. We're going to, learn how to kind of match colors. We're going to try out some different brushes. This is going to be a mess when we're finished with it, but it's going to give us an opportunity to just really try some different things. So this is what we're going to download. When you want to download this, of course, you have to click on your three dots. You have to go to open a new window. Now you have your download button. Hit download, and you're pretty much set. I can close all of this. I don't need it anymore. And just as my download folder is a bit of a mess, so is my desktop, but just ignore. So I'm going to create a new folder, and this folder showed up down here. I'm gonna drag it up where I have some of my other projects. I promise you that while I'm away, I will be making a point of organizing my desktop a little more. All right, I want to name this, so I'm going to click Control, and I'm gonna click mouse, rename this, and I will call this Photoshop Digital Painting, because that is what we are doing. All right, so now that I have that folder, I will go to my downloads. And here's where you will see a lot of different things. Thankfully, the brushes came right to the top. There you see the landscape brushes, so I'm going to drag those into my digital painting folder. I'm going to drag the cloud brushes into my digital painting folder. What else did I have here? I had the wave, had the water brushes. Bring those in. And then, most importantly, I need there we go. I need the paint palette that we're going to be practicing on. Okay, and the rest of that can go away. So everything that I need is now currently in this folder. 3 different brushes and my paint palette. So now I'm going to open Photoshop. I'm going to click on the green button so I have a full screen. We are going to create new. So I will open letter. I will title this. I always title my work as I get started. Better to do it right from the beginning. This is C painting practice. All right, it is currently set, well, it was set as a portrait. I would prefer it as a landscape because if you recall, that photograph that we're going to be bringing in was a photograph. So I will now hit create. Okay, I will now place that photo, which is on my desktop in my Photoshop digital painting. I will place that onto my paper. And I'm just going to leave the size as it is. It's, it doesn't quite take up all the space, but we're going to be doing a lot of practicing on here. All right, I want to lock this, so I'm just going to lock this layer. Because everything I'm going to do on a new layer. So I will bring in a new layer, and we're just going to do some playing right now. Going to start with the palette. Okay. Before we do that, though, I want to sort of introduce you to some of these tools that we're now going to be using that we haven't used before. So if you go to your window menu, you're going to see brush settings and brushes. These two menus will pop up together, which is pretty nice. I like the fact that they show up over here because I can just toggle between brushes and brush settings. So let's start with a brush. You have folders of brushes here. General brushes, dry media brushes, wet media brushes. When you click on one of these fur brushes, you will see that there's just a variety of brushes to choose from. You would have no idea that there were this many brushes here. Now, let's say we want to bring in those brushes that we just downloaded. We would go to the little menu icon here, and we would hit get more brushes, because that is exactly what we're going to do. Whoops. Nope. Let me try that again. Import brushes. My fault. Import brushes is what we're doing. We're not going to the internet to get more brushes. We're importing them. We already have them. We've already downloaded them. Okay, I happen to have a menu called brushes, but that's not where I put them. I put them in the digital painting folder, so that's where I'm going to find them. So the first set of brushes is my landscape brushes, so I'm going to click on that and hit open. And when I do that, it will automatically show up at the bottom. So there you see landscape brushes, and if I open that folder by clicking on the arrow, you're going to see some of the brushes I have. This foreground grass brush is one of my favorites if I'm doing a landscape. The next brush set that I want to get, go to import brushes, is the clouds. So I will click on clouds, I will hit open, and one more time I'm going to close my fur brushes since I don't need them anymore. And they all want to open. In any case, I'll skip that for now, but there's my cloud brushes. Okay, they're right there. Okay, close that one. I'm not quite sure why this one. I think these brushes actually might be brushes that I've just used before, but we won't worry about it. We have one more to get. So again, we're going to go to import brushes, and now we're going to get the free water brushes. And again, you can go online and you can find so many brushes, so if this is something you enjoy doing, just like getting new fonts, consider it, okay? And we will try some of these brushes so you'll get a chance to see exactly what they do. All right, so we have our brushes. What's really exciting about painting in Photoshop is that in addition to getting to use these cool brushes, let's just say I choose this brush, okay? This brush is titled Kyle Drag Mixed Grays. I can change this brush in so many ways. I can change the spacing of it. I can change the size of it. I can change a variety of other things here. I can create a scattered effect. As you click on different things, it gives you different opportunities to make changes. So the brush can become whatever you want it to be. So we'll go through this at some point. I may not have time to go through all of these with you, but just know that regardless of what brush you use, there are so many options. Like if I decide I want my paint to come out like little dots, this brush, just by changing the spacing, is going to do that. And and the things that I choose to do here will make a difference as well. Okay, so I'll stop there. We'll kind of move this to the side because we will be using it. But the first thing I want to do, I just need to pick a brush. So what brush do I want to use? Your option bar up here is also a place where you can locate your brushes. So if you're just looking for something general, you're not really thinking you want anything, too crazy yet, I can start with maybe the soft round pressure. And the next thing I'm going to want to do is pick a color. So how am I going to pick the color? Well, this eyedropper lets me choose any color I want. So I'm going to choose the red. And as soon as I click my eyedropper on that red, notice that there's red right here. So now I have to choose the brush, okay? Double check, make sure the brush that you chose, is what is showing up. And since I changed the color, it changed the brush. Okay, you probably recall that when we use our brackets, our right and our left bracket, it changes size. So if I hit on my right bracket right now, and make sure you're on the right layer, make sure you're where it says palette. We don't want to do this right on the original photo. You might make a mistake, you might want to delete something. You're not going to be able to do that if you do it right on the paint palette. That's why I've locked it. I'm doing it on a new layer. I'm hitting my right bracket. I can make this as big as I want it to be. Now I'm just going to do a few little light things, okay? So there I just made a quick little swatch. I'm going to hit Command Z, Command Z. Okay, maybe that's not as rich as I want it to be. So the opacity is 100. I can change the flow a little bit, and that will kind of affect how it comes out. But I may change the brush. I may go for something simpler. Let's see about the normal soft round. That looks very similar. If we do the hard round, I'm going to get something that really looks solid. Okay, so for now, you can use your tablets to do this. So I'm doing this on a computer, so I'm using the mouse on my computer screen, but you can use the pen on your tablet. So this is going to be red. I would probably zoom in by hitting Command plus. Move this over a little bit so that you can see that up close. Zoom in a little more. Make sure you still have your red. Go back to your paintbrush. Reduce the paintbrush to the size that you think you need it to be, and then just kind of go in there and add some color. Now it doesn't have to be 100% opacity. Maybe you want to try a lighter. Maybe you want to go even lighter. Go ahead and just play with it. Right now we're just testing out the eyedropper. I don't care how you choose to do this. If you would like to play with some new brushes, you're just curious, you want to see how things look, go for it. See what happens if you try a different brush. This brush, if you see it over here, kind of looks like a piece of like oil pastel, you know, so who knows, maybe you're trying to create some work of art that has media other than just something, you know, solid. So try some different brushes if you choose to, but in the end, let's just get this colored in. Truthfully, I could make this a very simple job by, oops, enlarging my brush. And as long as I have this on 100, and if I have this on a hard round, it's pretty much just going to make a perfect circle there. So I can do that. Now, should do that. All right, so in any case, go in here and get this as red as you can be. Oops. Go smaller. Get your eyedropper. Choose one of the blues. Okay, so now you have a different color. Go back to your paintbrush. Enlarge it. Now, and I'm kind of doing a sloppy job there, but just keep in mind that we're just playing with our eyedropper right now, and our goal is to make sure we know how to do that. We'll get into some more fun brushes in a second. If you like abstract art, you can have a lot of fun with this. All right, and last we have the green. put the green there. Okay, so you kind of have a sense of how to use the eyedroppers. You notice that at the top here there is an image of a beach, and there's a lot of different pretty colors there. Here, if you want to open up your brushes again, sometimes they'll shut down on you. If they do, just reopen them, have them available to you. Maybe I want to try one of these water brushes. Let's just see. Whoops. Yeah, they can be. I'm going to reduce this. Yeah, that's going to create an entire background. So I'm not really looking to do that unless we reduce the size. Let's see what happens. If I do it at a reduced size, yep. I'll get a different type of a look. So far, I'm not really liking any of these. Like everything else in Photoshop, it's a lot of experimentation. Let's just say I decide to go with that one because again, I want the size to be small. Yeah. Okay. I'll just go with one of these. So I'm going to hit Command Z, Command Z, Command Z, Command Z because I don't want it to be green. So I'm going to grab my eyedropper. I'll start with maybe my first color here, which was the blue. I'll go back to the brush, and thankfully the brush is still there that I was looking for. Now maybe you want to play with your spacing a little bit, but go in there. The opacity is currently set at 100. If I lower the opacity a little bit, it's going to give me kind of more layers. Maybe I want to change the color, toss a little of this darker purple in there, use the same brush, and I think that might be, it looks like the same color. And I'll try this one. Go back to the brush, and allow things to sort of go over each other. My opacity is 66%. If my opacity was higher, I would not get some of the lightness and I would not get the layering. So I want you to take some of these colors, play with them, try some different brushes if you don't really think you care so much for that brush. Test some others, see what other things you get. This creates a really unique feel to it. Actually, to me, that is a more watery feel. I probably would use that brush again. Maybe I will reduce it in size though, since it's a little big. I can go in here, got my blues going. Maybe I want to increase the opacity a little bit. Kind of go in here, some jaggedy lines, trying to create sort of a watery feel. There is, if I look in that water, there is a deep blue. So I'm going to just grab that deep blue right there and toss some of that in there because I like that deep blue. And then here's the other thing you can do. You can blend things as well. There are brushes that are designed specifically for blending. To find those brushes, let's see, usually they will be labeled as blending. It'll say right on it that it's designed for blending. So let's see, like this one says wet blender. So if I go in here, oops, and of course I'm gonna reduce the strength on this. Now it's starting to sort of blend these colors together in a unique way. We have screen tone brushes, which can be pretty interesting. Sure. Interesting. You can also use your smudge tool right here to do some blending. If you're gonna use the smudge tool, try different brushes. Like, first of all, I want to change the strength. When you have it on a solid strength, it's going to move things a lot. If you're just looking to do some soft blending, then you don't want the strength to be quite as high. So you can go in here and kind of mix these colors around and watch them blend together and kind of see what you get. And like I said, a lot of what we do is experimentation. There's an impressionist blender. And so that kind of does some interesting things. I don't like the 100% strength though, so I'm going to reduce that because I don't want it to necessarily change everything. And I'm going to don't forget to use your brackets when you're trying to move things around. So anyway, play with those colors and just kind of see what you can kind of create using the colors, blending in whatever manner you want. I'm sort of moving in a horizontal direction to give it more of a waviness. If I want to get back into just regular painting, I can go back in. Maybe I'll try like a pastel. I've got that blue going there. I'll reduce it some. It's currently set on 100%. That's too heavy. I'll reduce it a little bit. Maybe once I put some lines in there, I'll go back to blending. And I'll blend it in there so that it has a softer feel to it. And again, play with these kinds of things and see if you can't make something that just, has sort of a oil color feel to it. Feel free to go back and forth from eyedropper to smudge tool, to whatever tools you want. All right, so that's one part of our practice. What I want you to do with the rest of this is I want you to just play with your brushes. I want you to go to window. I want you to open up that menu. I want you to start looking at your brushes, okay? I'm going to close down these folders. Check out what each does. If you want to start with your general brushes and you just want to see, okay, what's going to happen when I use the soft round brush. Test it out. Pick a color that you think you're going to see well. You don't have to switch colors on this if you don't want to. So if I choose that color and I just want to see what I get with that, I mean, keep in mind that the size is always going to differ. So this is at a 25 pixel. Now if I make it this big, it's going to look like that, okay? If I work with a spacing on it, it's going to look like that. So same brush, but lots of different things that I can do with it. Maybe pick a different color. And pick another brush. I like the spatter brushes. They're always kind of fun because when you're using the spatter brush, oops, do I have my paint? I'll go with a bit of a heavier look, and don't worry, you can go over things. We're just kind of playing. My size is pretty high right now. I could make that size smaller. I could do some spacing on it. You know, if I want, like, say I'm creating a sandy beach or something, and I want to create that textured look, I might want to use a brush like that. I think I used that brush already. This brush is kind of an interesting brush. And you can kind of see what it's doing. Pick a color that you like and go back to the brush. Okay, and again, it's on a 76 opacity. If I want to do a much lighter opacity, I can get something like that. You're always welcome to do some blending if you're thinking, yeah, I like things to have a much smoother look. When you're working on your landscapes, you might choose to do something like that. And I'm going to stop here, and you're going to have fun. And do notice that when you are placing the brush, it will draw lines for you. So if I click this right now, that was a little big. And it's spinning. I have this on a very large size right now, and you are going to notice that Photoshop might not work as fast for you as you want it to. But if you look at my screen right now, it's moving. And you can see where things have moved. So it basically has blended that out. I would be better off reducing the size of this, and I would have a much easier time making that work. But I am on the smudge tool right now, so that is part of what's happening here. Again, I'm going to make this much smaller. And again, we are working with a smudge. We are working with a smudge tool here. Let me get us away from some of these. I'm going to, you know what I think I will show you? I'm going to show you the landscape, because eventually we will be doing landscape. And clouds, all kinds of things. But this foreground grass can be a lot of fun. But before I start using it, this is what it's going to look like. And of course, I want it, it's currently set on this color. That's why this color popped up, because the brush itself is preset for that green. But maybe you don't like that green, maybe you do want a green, or maybe you actually don't even want a green. Maybe you want a purple or some other color. If I start dragging along here, you can see I just created this illusion of, you know, a grassy like thing. Maybe I want to trying to kind of reduce the load, and so what is happening is by the time it gets to the end, the colors start to lighten. So that's what's happening when I reduce the load on that. And I can change colors. And build into it, give it some dimension, and have fun with that. But anyway, please play. I want your entire piece filled with lines and colors. And do keep in mind, in addition to having a brush, you also have a pencil, okay? And again, if you're using your pen from the tablet, then that makes it very easy. Just like with a brush, you can make your line bigger by simply hitting your right bracket. You can, if we go to brush settings, let's see, we could change it to dots like that. That way, you know, maybe you have some idea of something cool you want to do, but you like the dot idea. That's a quick and easy way to do it. So please play. Please fill this up, and I'm going to let you kind of finish this up on your own. All right? And don't forget, we always first save, and we've already named it, so we will save it. Save it on your computer. Every once in a while, please do make sure you're uploading to the cloud so that you don't lose your work. You can upload a folder here and there, but definitely save. Make sure it's going to the right folder. Hit save, hit OK, and then when you are ready to turn this in, and I want this full, so fill this up with all different things, colors. I want you to experiment. I want you to feel so comfortable jumping between the eyedropper, the pencil, the brush. You can, there are other things we'll get in, you know, we can get into, but I'm not going to get into those today. But if you can work with, you know, learning to smudge, learning to use the different brushes, and using the brushes that will do the smudging for you, like this one, I think you'll kind of find things to be kind of interesting. All right, so have fun. Export, save for web, and save. This one is going to my desktop. I want it in my Photoshop digital painting folder. Save. All right. I'm going to close this down. All right. And if I open my folder, there you see I have my original, and I have my PSD, and I have my JPEG that, if it were finished, I'd be ready to turn in. All right. Good luck, guys, and have fun.